The Consumer Price Index, which measures changes in the cost of food, housing, gasoline, utilities, and other goods, rose by 8.3% over the past 12 months. But that doesn't tell the whole story, because the 8.3% is just an average of all the categories. When we dig deeper, we see that there's quite a lot of variability across the different categories. So in today's video, we're going to highlight the 7 categories where inflation is actually hitting the hardest. And more importantly, how we can best respond so we can minimize this impact on our personal finances. Hi, if you're new to the channel, my name is Tay from Financial Tortoise, where we learn to grow our wealth slow and steady. The first category where inflation is hitting the hardest is food at home. With the change in price of 11.9%, this most basic consumer need is getting more and more expensive. And this increase is most concerning given we all need food to survive. When groceries are close to 12% more expensive than before, consumers need to cut back on other areas in order to make ends meet. And when we dig a little further, we notice that there are categories that are much higher than 12%. Cookies are 12.6% more expensive now compared to the same time last year. Chicken at 19.3%. And eggs at 32%. Food companies are still recovering from the pandemic-related plant closures, worker shortages, and shifting consumer demand as people have been making more meals at home. Food at home cost is hard to mitigate, but there are a few things we can do to lower the impact. One is to buy in bulk from wholesale stores like Costco or Sam's Club. These wholesale places most often have the best deals because you're buying items in large quantities. I get all my chicken from our local Costco and freeze them. This has not only helped in saving money, but meal planning as well. I like to prepare the majority of my food ahead of time. Everything from breakfast protein shakes to simple lunches made of broccoli, chicken, and brown rice. If you'd like to learn more from an expert, check out my friend Bree's website, Frugal Minimalist Kitchen. She's a registered dietitian, has some great resources around meal planning specifically. Another tip is to look at generic store brands versus name brands. When I shop at Costco, I most often purchase the Kirkland brand because it's much cheaper than the name brands. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually sourced from the same location. Rising food costs is probably one of the most concerning categories for the average American, but if we're smart with our shopping and plan out our meals, I believe we can mitigate its impact. Next category where inflation is hitting the hardest is furniture and bedding. Furniture is now 12.7% more expensive than they were the same time last year. And it's not just the cost. Shipping times are exponentially longer as well. Manufacturers are trying to juggle cost increase from materials, supply shortages, and longer wait time to get those materials. Many working in the furniture industry are saying they've never seen prices increase and supply chain issues quite like this ever. IKEA, the industry's top cost leader, has even announced they'll be raising prices, about 9% on average. The company says its biggest cost increases are due to the transportation cost and prices for raw materials in North America and Europe. If you've been in the market for a new furniture, it might be wise to postpone that purchase for a little bit. It's hard to live without food, but many of us can live without a new sofa or a table if you can help it. We also won't be frustrated by the long wait time to receive our furniture. One furniture retailer has said that what used to take 3 to 5 weeks to deliver is now taking up to 6 months. If we can live without a new sofa for 6 months, I think we can stretch that out a little bit longer. The third category where prices are rising pretty significantly is in health insurance. Health insurance is now 13.8% more expensive than they were the same time last year. Though inflation plays a part in the current rising health insurance costs, this is one category where prices have been increasing for quite a while. Americans spend a huge amount on healthcare every year, and the costs keep rising. Premiums are getting more expensive, deductibles are higher, and drug prices keep on soaring. There are a variety of reasons why this is happening, but one big part is due to the fact that US population is growing more unhealthy. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, more than half the US population has at least one chronic condition, such as asthma, heart disease, or diabetes. What's more, recent data finds that nearly 40% of adults over 20 in the US are either overweight or obese, which can lead to chronic illness and inflated medical spending. As the US population gets sicker and more overweight, the risk of insuring the average American goes up. And in turn, higher the risk, higher the cost of annual premiums. Thus, it is more important than ever for us to watch our health as we get older. We can do this by making sure to eat healthy and get regular exercise. It is also important to get routine checkups with our doctor so that we can catch any potential health problems early on. Another practical way to manage our healthcare costs is to look at insurance options to lower our premium. Check with your employer to see if there are high deductible plans available. If you're relatively healthy, this might be a great option to lower your monthly cost. If you'd like to learn more about high deductible plans where you can also have a health savings account, also known as HSA, check out my video here to learn more. The next category where inflation is hitting the hardest is hotel rooms. Hotel rooms are now 22.2% more expensive than they were the same time last year. Essentially, after 2 years of industry devastation brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, travel is officially back. People are so eager to leave home that they're booking hotel rooms left and right, and even at very high prices. And if you have been on the market for some summer travels, I'm sure you're noticing this price hike as well. The bad news is that hotel companies will likely keep the prices of hotel rooms high, given they aren't seeing significant resistance to these high costs. So what can we do? We'll either need to level set our travel expectations or put in more work to find affordable deals. Some strategies that people are using are to avoid popular locations. Instead of trying to go to Hawaii and Florida like everybody else, maybe research less travel locations. And when booking, move fast. With the way that things are moving, you can get priced out pretty quickly. Another strategy that I personally use to save money in hotel rooms is to book them using points. By leveraging travel credit cards, my family and I haven't paid for a hotel room for a very long time. If you'd like to learn more about my favorite hotel credit card to implement this strategy, check out my video here where I go more in detail. The next category where inflation is hitting the hardest is in the vehicle category. Used vehicles are 16.1% more expensive, and new vehicles are now 13.7% more expensive than compared to the same time last year. The impact of COVID-19 pandemic, which included manufacturing issues, supply chain interruptions, and labor shortages, have completely changed the car market. Of course, this can be said of most all industries today. However, one specific aggravating factor has been the persistent shortage of computer chips. Thankfully, according to industry experts, the shortage is gradually improving, and the hope is that car prices will likely return to normal levels soon, ideally by the end of 2022 or early 2023. So if you've been in the market for a car, used or new, the recommendation is to wait if you can. Try to squeeze out a few more months or years with your existing car. The longer you can put off buying a car this year, the better. The next category where inflation is hitting the hardest is in airfare at 37.8%. And the reason is pretty much identical to the reason why hotel rooms are so expensive, plus the crazy fuel costs I'll cover in a bit. Many people are looking to travel after 2 years of being cooped up, and airlines are struggling to increase their capacity to meet demand. And it doesn't look like the prices will drop anytime soon. During Delta Airlines' first quarter earnings call, the Delta president acknowledged that despite their high fares, the airline is having no trouble selling them. And I have personally seen this play out in real time when I was booking our latest family trip to Seattle. Within a period of 1 month, I saw flight tickets from Orange County to Seattle go from average $400 per seat to now $800 per seat. Again, if you want to find good deals on flights this summer, you'll need to do some extra work. A simple strategy is to track prices. Google Flights allow you to do this, and you can set price alerts by ticking the travel prices box. You'll then be notified via email of price increases and decreases. The nice thing about Google Flights is that you can also see historic prices for your route. So you'll know whether you're overpaying or maybe underpaying. And when you see prices that you're comfortable with, book it right away. I've noticed prices jump within a matter of days, so the longer you wait, the more expensive the plane ticket will likely be. The next category where inflation is hitting the hardest is the one that most people are talking about, and that is gasoline at 48.7%. The US average for the price of gasoline of regular gas is now almost $5 a gallon according to AAA. And in California, where I live, it has the highest average price at $6.40 a gallon. Gas prices have been on the rise all year to begin 2022, but inflationary pressure intensified following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in late February. As markets worried about the future of energy with global relationship with one of the largest oil producers, Russia, in turmoil, oil and other energy prices soared. And according to many experts, the worst is yet to come. With summer travel season just getting underway, demand for gasoline will just increase. If Russian oil shipments remain cut off due to the war in Ukraine, oil prices across all global markets will likely go higher. Some say the national average price of gasoline could be close to $6 a gallon by late this summer. So if you have the ability, this might be a good time to look at alternate means of transportation to get around, like trains or buses. If there's no alternate means of transportation in your area, you could also look at carpooling. This could be with your coworker or with your spouse. My wife and I carpooled to work for many years, and it was not only great in saving money, but for our marriage as well. It's impossible to predict when and how inflation will play out in the next months or years. The Federal Reserve is increasing their interest rate in order to combat the rising inflation. And the hope is that they can successfully do this without putting the whole economy in a recession. However, we don't want to just depend on the Federal Reserve to get us through these hard times. Let's understand where inflation is hitting the hardest and use the strategies outlined in this video to minimize its impact. Thank you guys for watching, and if you'd like to learn other ways to mitigate the impact of inflation, check out my video here. Until next time, all the best.